Hello everyone, and welcome again to a Shortstop with a Shortstop. Today we're going to talk a little bit about false teachers or false prophets. When I retired from playing Major League Baseball, me and my wife opened up a sporting goods store. It was called Johnnie Sports Center. We had one in Paintsville and one in Pikeville. And we ran those for 23 years. But I had a young man that worked for me at the Pikeville store, and he was just in high school, very well-known young man up there, very personable, very likable young guy. He came to me one day and said, he brought me a Lexington Herald, and he said, "Look at this, Coach." I said, "Okay." And it was some scores or information about a tennis match that had been played, and it had him winning the tennis match. He won the singles part of it. And I said, "Do you play tennis?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, how in the world did you win the match if you don't play tennis?" He said, "Coach, I just called these scores in to the Lexington Herald, and their sports information man just took them down and put it in the paper." And a couple of days later, he brought me another Lexington. He said, "Coach, look at this." And it had Pikeville High School playing Paris, Kentucky in a football game. And he had scored 50 points in that game as a football player. And I said, "I know you don't play football." He said, "No, Coach, I don't." He said, "I just called these in for the fun of it, just to see if they would print it." And they did, and he had done it several other times. He'd call baseball scores in, he would hit 5 or 6 home runs, and it was just all garbage is what he was telling this guy. It was just false as you could possibly get it. But the guy on the other line, on the other phone line, believed what he was being told. He could have been fired. He could have been let go from his job, not being able to make any more money because of one thing, because he didn't check out what he was being told. And if we look in the book of Acts, chapter 20, in verse 17, it says, this is Paul, the Apostle Paul talking. He said, "From Miletus he sent to Ephesus and called to him the elders of the church." He called the main guys of a congregation in the city of Ephesus. He wanted to talk to them. And if we look down in verse 28, 29, and 30, this is what he told them. He said, "Be on guard for yourselves and for all the flock among which the Holy Spirit has made you overseers, to shepherd the church, which he purchased with his own blood. I know that after my departure, savage wolves will come in among you, not sparing the flock. And from among you, your own selves, men will arise speaking perverse things to draw away the disciples after them." Now, he's not just talking about everyday people coming in to try to destroy the congregation. He was saying there could even be some guys among you that are in the eldership that can destroy the church by preaching false things, by being sheep, literally in wolves' clothing. And I know that a lot of you all watch these TV evangelists on TV, and most of them, if you listen to them, all they're wanting is your money. They're not trying to teach you anything about the Bible or how to get to heaven. They want you to send them money, and that's the bottom line of why they are on TV and why they are preaching. And a lot of people here in America have made them millionaires. If we look in Matthew chapter 15, and this is Jesus talking. He's talking to the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And he said, "You hypocrites, rightly did Isaiah prophesy of you. These people honor me with their lips, but their heart is far away from me. But in vain do they worship me, teaching the doctrines and the precepts of men." Do you pay attention to what people are telling you? Do you look and see if you have book, chapter, and verse for what they're talking to you about? Whether it be about worship, Jesus says here they worshiped him in vain. And if anything's in vain, it is sinful. And people can tell you how to worship, and it may not be correct. So make sure that you go to the Bible and you have book, chapter, and verse for the way that you worship God. Then if we look at Matthew chapter 7, verse 15, he says, beware of the false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. And then he goes on down here, and I want you to really listen to this. He says, so then you will know them by their fruits. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. Jesus is saying not everybody that is a religious person that is saying to him, Lord, Lord, is going to heaven. But those who do the will of my Father is who will be in heaven. It comes to a bottom line. We've got to do what God says to do. Many on that day will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name cast out demons, and in your name perform miracles? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. Wow. These people are going to think that they're going to be in heaven. And Jesus is going to say, I never knew you. Depart from me. Make sure, and we'll say it again, that you have book, chapter, and verse for what people are telling. Don't be like the other guy on the other line and print something in the newspaper just because somebody told you that it was, they thought it was true, because it ended up being a lie. And then if we look at 1 John chapter 4 and verse 1, it says, try the spirits, because there's many false prophets that are out there among you. And what does it mean, try the spirits, or try the false teachers, try the false prophets? It means look at book, chapter, and verse. And lastly, but not leastly, one of my favorite verses in the Bible, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 21. Prove all things and hold fast to that which is good. We need to be like the people in Missouri. Show me. Don't tell me. Show me. Book, chapter, and verse, because there's many false prophets that are out there in the world today. Thank you again for being with a shortstop.